Friends, welcome back to another Wednesday with the Werth Group. As you know, health is a huge thing for me, and I have a special treat. I have a special guest this week. It is Kristin Rowell with Energetically Efficient. She is a former litigation attorney turned nutritionist, and she's very efficient at what she does. I hired Kristin in the end of 2020 into 2021 because I was sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. I was really burnt out from work, and I was recently diagnosed with Graves' disease. So not only did Kristin help me transform my lifestyle, she also helped give me the tools that I needed to continue and maintain that. So given the fact that it's New Year, we've got a lot of people that are focusing on resolution and health, I wanted to have her on as a special guest. So hi, Kristin.
Hi, how are you, Cara? I'm so excited to be here.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Of
I
course.
just want to roll through some questions with you for our audience. So first one, just tell me a little bit about yourself.
Sure, and I will be as efficient as possible in doing so, just to give your audience kind of the snippet. I was a trial lawyer for almost 17 years. Why in the world am I in nutrition now? And the short version is, I had a series of events that kind of woke me up to the fact that I'm actually here for a purpose other than lawyering. Now, lawyering I loved. I absolutely loved being in front of juries, loved being in court, loved arguing, all of those things. And I, in December of 2013, fell on ice in a really sexy accident in front of the airport in Williston, North Dakota, and broke my right leg in 10 places. And I share that with you because that is really what started my whole health journey. It was a big wake-up call to me in terms of trying to understand how someone like me, who had already run a bunch of marathons, who had been lifting weights her whole life, could have that big of a fall and have that massive destruction to my leg. I just decided to start investigating it, is the short version. So that led me to really get into nutrition, to understand how my body absorbs nutrients. And lo and behold, about 6 years later, I decided to leave the practice of law and go back to school to become a nutritional therapy practitioner. So largely what I do during the day is I do a lot of Zoom meetings with clients. I teach courses online. I do those sometimes just by video, sometimes live like this, weeks on end. And I really try to help people understand not only what to eat and how to fuel their body, but more importantly, why. So as I reflect back on my whole career in lawyering before I started to do this in 2019, I realized that whole career was really preparing me for what I do now, which is to take really complex stuff that people don't know a lot about, or at least they're just barraged with too much information, yes, and make it really simple so people can understand. And it's like, oh, now I get it. Now I understand why. So it makes it easier to make it a lifestyle. So I live in Minneapolis. I have 2 gorgeous golden retrievers, and that's about it for me.
I love it. I already kind of answered one of my questions, which was kind of what led you to this. So we'll kind of skip to go to the next one. What do you typically eat on like a day-to-day basis? What are some easy go-tos for people that, you know, they want to avoid the carbs, they want to avoid the high calories, all the things. So do you have any like go-tos that are quick and easy for people?
Yeah, I'll answer that by giving you a couple of quick and easies, and then I'll tell you why, just because I think that's important for people to understand.
Yeah.
So I think one of the best things you can do is to have some kind of protein, and I really support eating animal protein, but if you are a vegetarian, some other kind of protein, like a plant protein, at the ready in your fridge at all times. So anytime you go to my fridge, there's either cooked chicken thigh, cooked grass-fed ground beef, cooked lamb, cooked salmon, whatever the foods are that I'm going to reach for, because then I don't have an excuse to not eat real food and mix it up with something I can just heat it up. Yep. So I'd say having cooked meats in my fridge is huge. What I ate today, just by way of example, was I had a coffee, and I typically just add fat to my coffee or drink it black, depending on the day. So either some MCT oil or some ghee or some organic heavy whipping cream. Yep. And then I ate a bunch of grass-fed ground beef that I had cooked this morning, and I mixed it with 2 ounces of sauerkraut. So that was really my vegetable.
Added that Good Eats buffalo dip?
Yes, I put that on top of it.
I saw that on your video, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to go to Target and get that. Yeah.
I was surprised. So one of the things that people often respond on my stories is they'll say, "Oh my God, you have to try that. It's at Costco." And I'm like, guys, it's just me. So if I go to Costco, it's like I have to buy this vat of things and I'm going to throw it away before I ever use it. So someone else responded and said they actually sell it at Fresh Time and at Target. So this brand, what Cara was just referring to, is called, what is it called? Good
Eats, I think.
Yeah, Good Eats.
Yeah.
So it's a bunch of plant-based dips, and I'm supportive of real food. So the fact that it's in plant-based means nothing to me. That's just sort of a movement. Like the 1980s and 90s brought us low fat. So I don't think anything of the word plant-based. But I did like that the ingredients didn't include any crappy oils, any sugar, any frankenfoods. It literally was just organic spices and vegetables. And it's a cauliflower-based dip. So I tried the queso one at my sister's yesterday. And then this morning I bought the buffalo one and I put it with the ground beef and the sauerkraut, and it was awesome.
How was it? It was good. You loved it?
Really, really good. Yeah. And I always tell people are like, oh, it's so boring to just eat meat with some kind of vegetable or sauerkraut or a dip. I'm a huge fan of using herbs and spices. Mm-hmm. So I don't eat a single meal ever without having like Redmond sea salt, Redmond's organic seasoned salt. I got this new seasoning called Pluck, which is an organ-based meat seasoning. So it's a really good way to get your organs in, and it just tastes like a seasoned salt. Guys, Lowry's seasoned salt? No. It's got other crappy ingredients. So I say look for things like Redmond's. That's a really good brand. Or somebody does other things. You can dress up any meal with herbs and spices, and then you're also getting a bunch of additional nutrients because there's nutrients in parsley, basil, oregano, thyme, rosemary, and those kinds of things.
Oh yeah, for sure. My biggest thing that you hooked me on was chimichurri sauce. And one of my favorite, like, easy go-to meals, I always have ground beef, but I like putting it with the coleslaw. Adam hates it, but like coleslaw, broccoli, rice, cauliflower with some chimichurri, or even hot sauce, like the truff hot sauce, just to give it flavor, and it really does like satiate you. One of the things that you say all the time is you start with protein, you fill in with fat, and then you choose your carbs wisely. Carbs not bread wise typically, but carbs like vegetable wise. So I really try to play with that when I'm, meal prepping for the week.
Yeah, exactly. So what Cara was just sharing is this thing that I keep saying at some point I'll trademark. Prioritize protein, fill in with fat, and carefully add carbs. And literally every time you eat, guys, that's what you should think of. And just to get to the reason why, because I said a couple minutes ago I was going to tell you why. Here's why. When you eat, you release hormones in response to that meal. So you can eat a meal that's going to release a cascade of hormones that's going to make you hungrier in 30 minutes, or you can eat so that you release a cascade of hormones that's going to keep you going for like 4 hours or 5 hours.
Yeah.
So I choose to do the latter. So what does that mean? That means if you prioritize protein and fill in with fat, you're going to release the two primary hormones that you need to be satiated. In other words, to have your body say, okay, I'm good, I don't need to eat anymore. And those are peptide YY, which is a hormone released in response to the consumption of protein, and cholecystokinin, otherwise known as CCK, that's released in response to the consumption of fat. So if you release those two hormones and you eat a lot of volume, which you get largely from eating massive amounts of vegetables that are very low calorie, but have a lot of mass, that way you're going to be full or satiated. I don't like the word full, satiated for hours, instead of the example I always give. If you eat like a half a sleeve of Ritz crackers, you have no protein, you have barely any fat, it's just crappy fat, and you have no volume. So you're not going to feel satiated, and you're going to want more food a half an hour later. So prioritize protein, fill in with fat, carefully add carbs. That will satiate you, keep your blood sugar regulated, which is what we want to do, and it will make it so that you release those hormones so that you don't want to eat for another however many hours.
Oh yeah, I can vouch to that. I used to just fill in with carbs like macaroni and cheese or whatever I could get fast food wise, and I found myself hungrier. I've also realized, based on the Glucose Goddess on Instagram, that if I start my morning with something sweet, I am hungrier throughout the day. I did that earlier this week when I started with the pumpkin protein shake, and I was like, ooh, totally noticed that one. So I'm
good.
A work in progress as well, but listening to her and you, like, to start with the savory, don't do the sweet, but immediately have my sweet after dinner. So I love that.
Yeah, and the woman that Cara mentioned, this glucose goddess on Instagram, I recommend everyone follow her, specifically because she not only gives such good information, but she makes such good infographics that it's easy to understand. So you can compare, hey, if I add an egg to my oatmeal or buckwheat and maybe have some avocado and a protein shake versus if I have muesli and orange juice, the difference in your blood sugar, it's incomparable. You're going to have such a blood sugar spike from that sugar in the muesli and the orange juice, and you'll have low and steady blood sugar if you add an egg and like avocado or have a protein shake with the oatmeal.
Oh yeah, that's like my level 2 now. Like level 1 was just figuring out how to eat, when to eat, and what to eat. Level 2 is like, okay, how do I regulate my blood sugar so it doesn't spike? Because that is a huge thing for me right now. So what is one of your like biggest pieces of advice for people to maintain a healthy lifestyle? Everyone starts on these yo-yo, goals, ambitions, dreams at the beginning of the year of like doing these diets or these fads. How do you actually like take it and maintain it?
Yeah, great question. I'd say I have a 2-part answer. Number 1 is really just notice and be aware of what you're doing. Okay? Because you can't notice why you're doing something until you see what you're doing. So I'd say the thing that I notice people do the most is they really go unconscious or go into denial and just graze and do a ton of mindless eating. Or they eat without intention. It's like, I'm starving, I'm just going to grab this here. Or I didn't plan well, I didn't eat something, and now I have to get this really fast. And then they don't really care what it is. So number 1 is to be aware of what you're doing. And then number 2, whether it be hiring a coach, doing your own reading, talking to a friend, having someone help you understand the why behind what you're doing, I think that's huge. That's one of the things I would say I've noticed with you is you've been so interested this whole journey in the why behind what you're doing that it allows you to understand, oh, no wonder why this makes me feel better and why this makes me not want to, I don't know, get up in the morning. I'm just making an example.
Oh no, I'm a total cope with, like, I used to cope with food whenever I was stressed, when, anything, I would cope with food and I would go for the comfort foods. And a few days ago, I think my Instagram stories, it was really freezing out and I was craving comfort food. So I took like what was it? A tuna sandwich, like, you get the bread, tuna, like cheese.
Like a tuna melt type thing?
Tuna melt, yep. And I took it and I was like, how can I make this better? And I used outer aisle cauliflower. I did cheat a little bit with some truffle Gouda because Whole Foods had that on special. And I'm like, I need that in my life. And then tuna, and I was satiated. I think I didn't even touch anything until dinner at 6:30 that night.
Amazing.
And that was at 12. And I mean, typically I don't go 6 hours, but I'm really focusing on listening to my body with eating.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So one of the other things you reminded me of, and it was in part because I grabbed a sip of water here that I didn't say for the quick tips, is water, 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 guys. Like, you'll see Cara and I drinking out of these regularly. So the first thing that I require all my clients to do before they're even allowed to have coffee is to get one of these down. So 24 ounces of water. I recommend doing it with 1/4 teaspoon of Redmond's real salt, sea salt, and the juice of 1 lemon. And it will set you off right for the day every single day. I do it every single day. People are like, really? You really cut a lemon and like squeeze in every day? I said, yeah. And it's your attitude about it. It takes me probably less than 30 seconds to do it. I hit all the seeds into the garbage, rinse the thing really quick in the sink, and pour the lemon in there. It's so fast.
Oh, I do it every single morning. Adam does it every single morning. And I actually bought Adam another juicer for Christmas.
Awesome.
As like a, hey, here, now we have 2 of them.
Yes.
So if we don't get to wash one in the dishwasher, like, we're not hand washing it in the morning before we can get to our lemon water.
Yeah.
I do diligent about that.
Yeah, it makes such a difference. And you guys, just so you understand why, again, the why. So lemon is a natural detoxifier. So it's a great thing to start your morning with every single day because it does help to detoxify you. Lemon also has been shown to stimulate our lymph system. So, you have blood that flows in your body. It's, because I'm going like this, now blood is going to my extremities. If I was to walk, blood goes sent to my legs. but your lymph is interstitial fluid that's pretty much like just sitting there, not doing anything unless you move it. Okay. Yep. So moving it, you could be jumping on a trampoline, that'll stimulate your lymph. You could get a lymphatic drainage massage. You could do a dry brush in the shower, or you could drink lemon water because that stimulates your lymph. And then the other thing is, even though people get a little worried, like, oh, isn't that so acidic? Well, lemon is acidic outside your body. It's actually alkaline when you ingest it. So it's a really good way, especially if you eat a higher diet in like meat, for example, like I do. Mm-hmm. Meat is pretty acidic. Lemon makes it less acidic because lemon alkalizes your body on the inside. So there's no downside to consuming lemon. I have had, I think, one client over all of my work so far that had a citrus allergy. So obviously lemon is not good for her, but yep. Unless you have an allergy to it, it's great for you.
What would you use in place of lemon? Would you use like apple cider vinegar?
Yes, fantastic question. So I actually have been doing apple cider vinegar with my lemon now. So I do both.
Okay.
Because apple cider vinegar has a ton of nutritional benefit, and it also is for sure been shown to stimulate what's called the AMPK pathway in our bodies, which helps with fat loss, and it helps with blood sugar regulation. So I now do 1/4 teaspoon of Redmond's real salt, juice of 1 lemon, and a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar every morning. And I've tended to add a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar every night also. I do tell people, like, don't go overboard with the vinegar because vinegar is acidic. Mm-hmm. But if you do it with the lemon, they cut each other because of the alkalinity and the acidity. And so it's been really good. I feel really good when I use it.
I'm going to have to add that.
Yeah, I was just thinking the one client that I mentioned to who has a citrus allergy is also allergic to vinegar. I mean,
really?
Yeah. And when I see allergy, I mean inflamed by, so she has food.
Sure.
That she did that test, and so we're just working around all of those things, and eventually I'm sure once we get those things out of her system for enough weeks, mm-hmm. she'll feel better again. So
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
So when I first started my journey, I'm not gonna lie, I was super scared about not being able to eat or consume because diet fads, like the last diet I was on was when I got married, and I was eating like watermelon and limiting myself to 1,000 calories a day. How is it different in the way you approach food versus like fad diets?
The shortest answer I can give you is it's completely different, because what I'm teaching and what I recommend to all of my clients is how to eat to be lean and fit for life. Mm-hmm. So it really is that it's a lifestyle, not a diet.
Yeah.
And I would say 90% of my clients in the first week will email me or text me or call me and say, Kristin, are you sure I'm supposed to be eating this much food? I'm so full.
I was one of those clients.
Yes, you were.
Yeah.
And you lost a total of how much weight? I mean, you lost like
so much.
15-20% body fat. I mean, it was a lot.
Yeah, I think we started at like, was it 29.9% body? No, we were 40.
Yeah, you were 39 or almost 40% body fat. You were down to
40% body fat, and now I don't know. I'm going for my bod pod next week because I haven't done one for a while. So stay tuned. I'll let you know.
Yeah, but you were down to like low 20s, mid 20s by the time we were done working together.
My goal is 20. I want to say I was like 24.4 the last one that I went to. So
yeah, and you guys, to put that in context, like, that's so significant. What Cara did over the course of the fall of 2020 mm-hmm. to the summer of 2021. So she wasn't like, oh, I'm going to go on a 3-week diet and lose all this weight and like I feel so great. It was, I've been doing this and eating this way for many, many years. Mm-hmm. I've been extending a lot of bad habits even since college, which a lot of us know what that feels like. And now I'm finally deciding I want to make some significant changes, and I'm committed to the process. And she is a perfect example of when you commit to the process and stay consistent, how dramatic it is. In fact, I remember when we started working together, I was trying to encourage you to get back to a strength training regimen. Mm-hmm. And in the beginning, you were like, I can't handle it right now. I need to focus on the food. I'm going to focus on this first, and I will get to that later. And it was so brilliant of you to be that aware of knowing your own limitations, because you had fantastic results despite not going in and strength training until many months in.
I know. I think I wowed you with my results from that. I mean, just the not drinking and the following everything. I mean, guys, I weighed and measured every single ounce of water, ounce of coffee, ounce of food that went in my body, and ounces, but I even down to grams. Like I was very, very methodical. She gave me a plan and I followed it to a T. There was no negotiation, no wiggle room, nothing. Like I was done feeling the way that I was feeling. And I think that was the only way to get me through that first 3 months with you. And then I signed on for another 3 months because at that point I saw such great results that I was like, okay, now I'm addicted. Now I need to hit this like 20% body fat. And here I am a year and a few months later, and I'm still not there, but I haven't lost the motivation. I haven't lost the lifestyle. Now, do I, eat a pizza or some tacos every now and then? Yes, I do, because I'm human, I'm normal. But the difference is I don't feel guilty. I also know how that makes my body feel. So I feel like I'm less and lessing of that. So speaking of that leads me into a great question. What does it look like for someone to be a client of yours? How do they get in touch with you? Kind of put me through a little bit of a process so we can let people know.
So I treat every client to their own bio-individuality. Some clients really want to work with me one-on-one and they need a lot of hand-holding and they want to meet every week and they want the meal plans. Yes, like we did together, which was awesome. Some don't want to do the one-on-one and they just want to do something like a jumpstart with my 2-week detox course.
Yes.
Some of them are better in a group setting and they want to do my Lean and Fit for Life course. So what I recommend people do is to just go to my website, which is energeticallyefficient.com. And there's a link up in the top, I think, right-hand corner that just says book a call. And I do free 20-minute discovery calls so that I can figure out where are you at, what are your goals, where would you be the best slotted in at the moment, and how can I best support you? And am I the right person to support you? I'd love to say that I can help everyone, but the truth is that I want to help the people that really want to learn about this and want to make it a lifestyle and aren't just looking for a quick fix. Yeah, there aren't if you want to make this a lifestyle. I mean, many times I always notice that the people that hire me are ones who have gained and lost the same 10, 15, 20 pounds 5 or 6 times. And what I say is, okay, we're stopping that cycle. Like the buck ends here. I could diet you down to 1,000-calorie diet and you could have a quick win, but you will be done with me and gain all that weight back and then some, and I'm not going to do that to you. Yep. I don't have that as a goal. I don't care how sexy it might look on paper. My goal is to literally overhaul your metabolism, get you into a metabolic burning machine, and have you learn how to do this on your own so that you can do it long term. And so that you keep iterating and iterating versions of yourself, just like I do, to continue to get better. It's like 2 steps forward, half a step back, 7 steps forward, 1 step back, 3 steps forward, 4 steps back. We're all doing our own journey all the time. And so the whole process is about learning. I mean, I just recently, you guys, and I've been in this for a long time, just recently discovered there are certain foods that I'm completely inflamed by and that I have to completely cut out of my diet. So now it's like, wow, I stumbled upon one of the most sophisticated food inflammation tests. So now I'm using that with clients in my practice. And I may learn about a new trick next week that I may practice on myself first and then use in my practice. So I really consider myself sort of like the researcher who goes down the rabbit holes for you and then reports back about what's worth it and what you can skip.
Yeah, I love it. Even though we're not working one-on-one together, I'm going to jump into Kristin's 2-week detox starting the 17th. And we have a weekly meeting, Wednesdays at noon, is it?
Yes.
Once you work with her, you can jump into this hour call where she talks about, biohacking tools like the Aura Ring, certain things like health and what she's learned this week. And it really helps kind of keep me accountable or hold me accountable to keep this lifestyle that, you've blessed me with or helped me get there. So,
well, that you did all the hard work. It's been so fun to watch your journey because it really changes everything in your life. I mean, I tell everyone who will listen to me, typically if they schedule a discovery call with me and you have any sort of legitimate job where you're in any kind of sales or you are responsible for getting really good work done and people report to you maybe, it is in my view part of your job to keep yourself fit. Period. It makes you a better boss, a better employee, a better spouse, a better partner, a better parent, a better human, a better neighbor, you name it. Like, you are a better person if you keep yourself fit, because you have more mental clarity. You are in a better mood. You name it. There's such a laundry list of things that have a domino effect from taking care of your health first. So I literally see it as a part of your job. And when I was lawyering, I treated it as a part of my job. And it made a huge difference to me in my practice and how successful I was, because I was taking care of my physical body while working those kinds of demanding hours and having to perform all the time. So,
oh yeah, I mean,
pitch for self work.
I get it. I am one of your like cheerleaders. I seriously promote anyone who talks to me. I'm like, call Kristin, call Kristin. I will link in her website. I will also link in her Instagram, which is MN Golden Girl as well. So any final thoughts, words before we kind of lock this up?
No, I just want to thank you so much for having me, and I'm so incredibly impressed by your journey. You are the type of person that I love as a client, because you really dove in and did the work and took personal responsibility, which is what this is all about. So congrats to you.
So much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Chris. Have a great day. We'll see you guys later. Thank you.